everyone, my name is Simon Lee and my topic is entomophagy, and I'm going to be presenting that it is reliable and sustainable food for the future. Why do some people eat insects to begin with? Well, ethnic groups across Asia, South America, Africa, and Mexico regard edible insects as important to resources, and the benefits comes down to nutrition, ecology, and their economy. Some insect products like caterpillar larvae in Africa have high protein content, iron, and calcium, which is good to combat food security there for children, mothers nursing their babies, and pregnant mothers at risk of malnutrition. During rainy seasons, insects can often be the only reliable food for low-income individuals like farmers, and the reason is because new crops have not sprouted at this time, and livestock have not been fed adequately enough for slaughter. Moreover, another issue is that dwindled food stockpiles from the last harvest won't usually last these farmers enough, so insects provide some food security in that area. If you look here, usually beetles are the largest portion of edible insects consumed, followed by caterpillars, then bees and wasps, and then crickets and grasshoppers, and etc. Now, it is farm sustainable. So the practice of eating insects allows for better efficiency of conversion, or ECI. So what this means is that if you're feeding the crickets, it'll usually be, let's say, 2 times better than pigs or chickens and 4 times better than sheep. And as seen here, you'll see that crickets use up less water, nearly half of less water than, say, a chicken and pig. How are they able to do this? Compared to conventional livestock, insects make more efficient use of the feed, since they rely on external environments to control metabolic activities as cold-blooded organisms. Now, in contrast to beef, insects produced in an urban farm consume less resources, produce more edible mass required for rearing something like a cattle, and you could usually often eat only 40% of a cattle carcass because you have to trim the dead cow and remove like certain things like bones, which you can't eat, and let's say the horns and all that stuff. Meanwhile, for the insects, you could just remove a couple of wings and any hard exoskeleton, and that's about it, but you could eat the majority of it. Now, entomophagy is friendly to the environment. The practice of eating insects is a good opportunity for conservation of forests. Example, there's this caterpillar species shown here, and they reside in Mexico, and the farmers usually can kill them with pesticides, but harvesting them could provide an alternative income and reduce the use of insecticide use, which would otherwise contaminate nearby ecosystems and water supplies. Now, bioeconomy is another major factor for insect farms, since discarded scraps can be used to feed these insects, which will be eaten by humans in turn. This benefits some farms because the insect production can help manage abundant food waste while preserving important crops like corn and grain. Now, for every kilogram of insect produced, they usually release far fewer amounts of greenhouse gases like methane and nitrous oxide compared to conventional livestock meats. Now let's talk about the human benefits. Insects are easier to harvest for consumption, especially wild. One example is how you could lure termites to a bowl of water under a bright light overnight. Majority of edible insects, depending on the developmental stage in life, can have higher caloric values than, let's say, corn, fish, beans, beef, soybeans when adjusted for weight. And eating insects is also good for low sodium diets for anyone who's high in blood pressure or have any heart conditions related diet, and insects are often less saltier than the meats from the livestock. In addition, the insects have a large range of vitamins like pantothenic acid, biotin, and riboflavin. Edible insects generally have more healthier fats compared to like chicken and white fish, especially the polyunsaturated fats. Then there's another benefit of fiber, because whole dried insects can be good source of fiber, and the high chitin composition acts as a prebiotic to combat issues like indigestion or like foodborne illnesses. Now, insect farming could be a good way to shield against diseases. Insect virus strands often will not be able to infect human hosts. There's a slim chance that any future mammal-specific virus will come from any insect farms and hop onto humans. Therefore, COVID-19 will be very unlikely to infect insects as a vector from transmission onto humans. Then what about parasites? Well, insect parasites cannot reach full maturity in vertebrates, which means that if an individual is infected with any parasites from eating insects, then it will usually be confined to that individual and be prevented from spreading any further. Overall, insects require less workers to manage than animal farms, and soon it will be automated, so there will be even more barriers for any potential diseases to jump from an insect onto human hosts. And here are my references.